All right, Mrs. Cook, take two. All right, so we're gonna get started on this, and hopefully watching it will be much easier than trying to read those instructions. So here goes. So we're beginning, well, first of all, let me just play for you what this short little video looks like. It's short, but it will take us a little time to do. So it is a 6-second video. I'm going to play it one more time. I'm going to make it a little bigger for you. So again, as you watch, you're going to see the city rise. You're going to see the girl's face become clear. You're going to see the cars pull up. They're rumbling a little bit. And then the title rotates in. So let's get started. So I will begin with start. I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call it Mrs. Cook, Mrs. C, whatever. Call yours whatever you want to call it. Mrs. C movie teaser. I'm saving mine in a folder called Animate Lesson 3. I don't have access to OneDrive, but you do, so save yours to OneDrive. I'm going to hit save. All right, I want to be able to see the whole screen, so I'm going to come here and just hit fit in window. I might just reduce the size a little more. I want to get a better view. I'm working from a MacBook, so it's a little bit smaller screen to work with. So I hope this doesn't look much different than what you guys are working on the iMacs, but hopefully things are going to look pretty much the same. All right, let us get started. We're going to start by locking our layers. So I'm going to just drag this up a little bit. You can adjust the size of your layers if you want to. I think I'm going to make these a little bit shorter because this is a very small computer that I'm working on, so I don't want it to take up too much space. All right, lock, 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 lock. All right, above footer, we're going to add a layer. This is going to be our city, and it's going to go right there. So the first thing that we want to do is bring in the city. We already know that the city comes in on frame 10, and I'm gonna again bring these in a little bit closer so I can see my entire timeline. So 10 is right about there. I missed it by 1 frame, so if I stretch this out a little bit, now I can see exactly where 10 is, and what I love is that it's right there. And honestly, I could just type in 10 if I want to be absolutely certain about where things are going to go. I want to first bring in that city, which is in the library. So if I go to City BG and drag it to the screen, I can just drop it anywhere for now. I'm going to bring my timeline down a little bit. So this particular lesson gives me exactly where the city should be. And so the city is going to be, it's going to be X0. So like I said, you can scroll that or you can just type in 0. I find it easier just to type in 0. And here, I find it easier just to type in 90. Okay, so now that city is exactly where it's supposed to be. We are now going to turn this into a motion tween. There are 3 different ways I can turn this frame right here, frame 10, into a motion tween. I can go here where it says Insert Motion Tween. I can right click and I can create a motion tween here, or I can go to Insert, Create Motion Tween. I have 3 different ways to do it. I'm going to say this is probably my quickest, so I'm going to click on this motion tween here and I'm just going to hit OK. So the next thing we want to do is we want to move our city up so that it kind of looks like it's going out of the screen. So what we're going to do is I'm going to bring our playhead to, we'll say 60, and I'm going to hold my shift key and just bring this up, and where that stops is kind of where the end is. So that's all I'm going to do. Going to make this so much easier than those instructions today. Those instructions today were a nightmare. Okay, so that's it. My city is now kind of moving up. Looks good. One more thing that I want to do is I would like to allow my city to kind of fade a little bit. I want it to begin. It's going to begin here on 10, and I'm going to go to my properties, objects, and I'm going to choose alpha. Alpha is the same as transparency. I'm going to make that 0, and then I'm going to go to 60 again, and that's where my keyframe was on city. And here I'm going to change that alpha to 100. And so if you want to play what you have, a couple ways. You can hit the play button. It's always a good way to play something. We can go up to control and we can hit play here, and this sort of plays what we have so far. If you want to test your movie, that's another way that you can play to see what things are looking like. But for the moment, we haven't done too much, so this should be fine, and you can even just move your playhead, and your playhead will kind of show you what's happening. So we're good. We started out, we don't see that city, it's fading in, everything's looking good so far, and we're going to move on to the next thing. All right, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to unlock our woman. We're going to lock our city, and we're going to unlock her. What we would like to do with her is at frame 23, which is where she actually begins here. We want her to be blacked out. So we're going to go to Object, Alpha, and we're going to bring her to, 0. It looks like she's already on 0, but just check, make sure she's on 0. We're then going to put a blur on her. So to do that, we're going to go to Filters. There's our filters. We're going to hit that plus sign right there, and there's the blur. When we hit the blur, we're going to give it a 20 blur. Okay, so this blur is on frame 23, and it's 20 pixels, X and Y. It asks what quality you want, low, medium, high. I'm going to choose medium, and she is now blurred at that point. The next thing we're going to do is move up to frame 140. So I'm going to kind of scroll over here till I can see frame 140. There's frame 140 again. I'm going to spread this out a little bit so I have a clearer view of where 140 is. I missed it by a frame. Okay, so there's 140. I'm going to insert a keyframe here. So again, different ways to insert keyframes. I can right click and insert a keyframe, or I can insert a keyframe by just coming up here, inserting a keyframe, or I can come up here and I can hit timeline and I can add a keyframe. So you pick whichever way you choose. So I'm going to go ahead and insert the keyframe here, but it gives me options. And since I already know that, that we're working with filter, I'm going to choose filter for that keyframe. I'm going to then go to object. We're going to go back down to the filter, and this time we're going to take it to 0. So although she's blurred out when she first comes in, and she's kind of blurry, but then all of a sudden she's starting to get more clear. And by the time we get here, by the time we get to 140, I'm going to reduce this again. Her face is perfectly clear. Okay, so that's kind of what we did with that. So what do we want to do next? We're going to work on our third car. So I'm going to lock that layer, and we're going to go to the very top here. We're going to add a new layer, and we're going to call this left car. And I guess I could have capitalized that since the others are capitalized. So this one is called left car. Okay, I don't have anything in here yet. The frames are there, but there's no car yet. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our library and locate our left car. I think it's called left car, car left. Okay, for some reason in the library it's called car left, but we just named it left car. All right, so I just brought it in. There it is. I brought it in on the first frame. Ideally I would have brought that in on frame 75, so I'm just going to hit Command Z and I'm going to do it again, and this time I'm going to locate. Oh, look at that, I got the 75th frame just like that. Okay, so there's the 75th frame. I'm going to add a keyframe there. My keyframe doesn't want to go in. Oh, I think it thinks my keyframe is here. So what I'm going to do, did I bring this car in already? Okay, I'm going to clear all these frames. I think I'm going to clear all these frames. Remove frames. Did I remove them? All right, I have one left there. I need to remove that frame. All right, try this one more time. So 75 is where this car is coming in. Okay. And so I'm going to insert a keyframe there. And now I will bring in that left car again. There's the left car. I'm now going to yeah, that was already a symbol. Right, I'm gonna stretch this out. It probably should have done that. All right. So this is about when I want to stop and do a take 3, but I'm kind of tired and I don't really feel like doing a take 3. So you will cooperate with me. All right, bring this out. I want it to go to the end. Sorry, I'm too tired to start this over again. So there we go. So starting at 75, I brought the car in. I am going to create a motion tween there. So there's my left car. It's at the top. The car needs to be adjusted, so I'm going to go to my properties and I'm going to, let's see, the car is going to be X. And again, much easier to just double click and type in the number, which is 710. And the Y is 488. I mean, I suppose you can use the lever to drag it, but I just, if you're doing something on your own and you're being creative and you just want to see how things are going to look, then definitely go ahead and just drag things and be like, oh, do I like it here? Do I like it there? But for this particular thing, since we're just basically trying to follow this lesson, it's just easier to type in the number. But I hope you understand why you would want to use those. Okay, so let's see. So I've got that taken care of. The only thing I haven't done, and maybe I should have done this first, these need to be 400 pixels wide, and right now it's like 1300 pixels. So I'm going to change this to 400. I've locked the constraints. I don't want the car to get kind of messed up. So when I did that, my X switched to 709.9, so I'm going to have to put it back to 710. And so now the car is the size it needs to be and it's where it needs to be. While it's still on frame 75, I'm going to change the alpha. So I'm going to go to my alpha, and the alpha is going to be 0. So we won't see this car at all. All right. Then we're going to go to frame 100, and I got it on the first try. And I'm going to change the alpha back to 100. So again, properties, object, and back to 100. Okay, so now I see the car. Got my motion tween here. If you can kind of see how the cars are kind of coming in. Except the only problem is that car on the left still looks a little small. So we're going to be doing some things with that. So we've fixed the alpha. So now it's time to enlarge the car. So we're going to do that by right here on this frame 75. We're going to change the size. The size is going to be 1380 in pixels. So I'm just going to type that in. 13, whoops, I don't think that went in right. Maybe it did. 1380. Why does it want to say 1379.9? I'm not sure. And try it one more time. 1380. All right. I guess I will drag it because I really want that 1380. I just don't see why I can't get a perfect 1380 there. Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, all right. 1379.9. That makes no sense. 1380. Just take it. Okay. All right. I lose. Anyway, that is supposed to be 1380. The X on this is 607. And the Y on this is 545. Okay. So now the cars all look lined up. They look like they're all next to each other. All right, so what we're about to do, I just want to warn you, can seem a little bit difficult. It took me like 3 tries, and I kept, I couldn't figure out what I was not getting right. So I'm going to show you what I wasn't getting right, and it's hard to believe that something so small was having such an effect on this working or not. So the goal right now is to select these 3 cars, which are all right next to each other, and just move all 3 of them to the left at one time. The problem was because all of them have a motion tween on them, and they're all sort of driving out in a nice perfect line. Every time I tried to do it, and I would move all 3 cars over, one of the cars would like shift sideways, or and it just wouldn't follow the angle of the path that was originally set for them. I figured out why I wasn't getting it, so I'm gonna prevent you guys from having this issue. So the first thing we need to do is make sure everything is locked. I'm going to unlock the cars. Okay, so the cars are unlocked, but everything else is locked. Now, if you don't see this tool right here, this right here, if you scroll over it or you hover over it, it's going to say Edit Multiple Frames. If you don't see that, go to this menu and go to Customize Timeline Tools. And when you go there, it's right there. And you should be able to just click on it, and it should show up in your timeline. So if you don't have it, that's how you're going to find it. All right, now that isn't the tricky part. Now, so pay close attention to what I'm about to do. And I'm going to, maybe what I should do is just show you what kept going wrong for me before, just in case this happens to you. So you're selecting, you want to select these 3 layers, okay? The left car, the middle car, and the right car. And before I do that, let me just make sure, I need to do one thing before I do any of this. I need to move my left car in between my right car and my middle car. So let me just check this real quick. Oh, and the reason I can't see is because I have that on. All right. Okay, so, all right. I'm just going to show you the right way to do this so you don't have any issues. If you're working on this and you do have issues, I'll be able to help you through it. I need to be on the very first frame for all of these. I'm holding my shift key. I'm holding my shift key. I'm holding my shift key. The very first frame on all of those. I click on multiple frames. As I hold it, I hit all frames. Okay? I then go to Edit, and I hit Select All. I should see 3 boxes there. Those 3 boxes represent the 3 cars. If I hold my shift key and then drag all of this over, ideally, I'm going to let go right now. I'm going to deselect where it says Edit Multiple Frames. And then those cars were all moved over and they're coming in perfectly. That's what goes wrong if you don't select the very first frame for each while you're holding the shift key. You will see your cars shifting sideways and doing all kinds of crazy things. So I was able to shift all of those cars to the left so that they would be more centered. They're actually not perfectly centered. If I wanted to fix it, I could. I would have to do the exact same thing. I would hold my shift key. I would select the very first frame of each of these. Make sure I got the first frame of each. I'd make sure I grab that, all frames, edit, select all, and again, hold the shift key. Now, oh, there we go. And just moving over slightly, fingers crossed. Now let's see. Are the cars coming in? They are. They're coming in perfectly. They're not shifting sideways. They're not doing anything crazy. Okay. Perfect. And now it's more centered than it was before. And let me try to get this whole thing in the screen there. If you want to just go ahead and play your teaser just to get a sense of where you are. We're really close to being done. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create an ease. An ease is kind of that thing where kind of like ease in, ease out. You want it to, instead of these cars looking like they're just coming all in at the same pace, we want them to look like actual cars where maybe they're kind of slowing down before they come to a stop. So we're going to place an ease on all three of these cars. So to do that, we're going to start with the left car. We're going to go to frame 101. And let me just see. It helps me to kind of spread my timeline out a little bit when I want to. There we go, 101. Got right to it. Okay. So I'm on 101. I'm going to right click and then I hit split motion. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing on the right car. I'm going to go to, except it's going to be a different frame. It'll be 107. There we go. And split motion. All right. The next thing we're going to do, in the middle car layer, we're going to select any frame between the first and that second keyframe there. So anywhere between 70 and 92, whatever that is, 93, we're going to just select a frame, and then we're going to go to properties. This time we're going to frame, and there's your ease. Okay, and we're going to increase the ease to 100. All right. So we did that with the middle car. Now we're going to do it with the left car, somewhere between 75 and 100. Doesn't matter where you want to do it, wherever you want the car to kind of start to slow down. So we're going to go to frame ease 100. Okay, and then the right car. Again, somewhere between the first keyframe and this last keyframe. You choose. So properties, frame, and there's your ease. Okay, and again, we're going to do the 100. And then if you If you want to play it, it's probably easier to see what's happening if you play it. So the cars kind of come in, but then they slow down. So they're not coming in quite so like evenly. I'm going to play that one more time. Okay. All right. We are so close to being done. The next thing we're going to do is okay. Yeah, we've already done that. All right. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to show you the inside of these symbols. Like, you can't see it right now, but these two cars are rumbling. In fact, you don't see it with the playhead. You don't see it when I go up here and hit play. The only way we're going to see it is if we hit test movie. So I'm just going to hit test movie so you can see what I'm talking about. So when I hit test movie, look at these cars. Do you see how these cars are jumping up and down? Okay. Well, that's happening inside the symbol. It is not happening here, though. We don't see it, but it is happening. So when you go to publish this video, those cars are going to be jumping up and down. Well, how is that happening? Well, I'm going to show you how that's happening. So if we go to the library and we select one of those cars, so let's take a look at the Car Right movie clip. So let me find it. There's Car Right. I'm going to double click on it. When I double click on it, I've just opened it up inside as a symbol, and you see it has its own timeline in here. And if I play this timeline, what you see, I'm going to loop it because you can't really tell what's happening here. So I'm going to loop this, and you see basically 3 keyframes. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And that's the rumble. That's how the car is rumbling. The lights are rumbling. Everything is rumbling. Up and down, up and down, up and down. So that's why the right and the middle car are currently kind of going up and down. So we're going to do the left car. So to get out of a symbol, you just go to this arrow and you're out of the symbol. Oh, look at that. My computer decided to go crazy. All right. So so we're going to do it to the left. So I'm going to go to car left here. And when I click on that, you can see there's no keyframes there, because this is the one we had to bring in, and this is the one we had to turn into a symbol. So there's nothing happening here, but we're going to make something happen. So I'll spread this out a little bit so I can see the frames I want. I'm only going to use 4 keyframes. So I'm going to hold the shift key so I can select both of these at the same time. Right click, insert keyframes. So there's a keyframe. Now right now nothing is happening. They're doing the same thing. So when I get to this one, again, I'm going to select both. I want the lights and the car. And I'm just going to go to my keyboard and I'm just going to, I think I'm going to move. Are we going to start down? Yeah, I think we're going to start down. I'm going to hit the down arrow just to make it go down 1 pixel. I don't need it to move a lot. I just need it to go down 1 pixel. Now I'm going to go to my next frames, insert keyframes again. This time, select them both. Make sure I have both of these selected, and up again. So if I want to play this, if I want to see what's happening, you know, you can see that little rumble there. Cars going up and down, up and down, up and down. All right, we're going to add one last one for this. Okay, put a couple of keyframes in there, and this time we're going to, let's see, we went up. We're going to go down one more time, except this time when we select both of these, we're going to go down 2 pixels. So I hit the arrow twice. All right, let's go ahead and play. And you can loop it if you want to, so you can, again, see what's happening. Okay? So we've just created that rumble. But here's the thing. When we hit this arrow and we're out of the symbol, and I go to play it here, stop. I'm going to play it here instead since my computer's acting wacky. Yes, it's truly acting wacky. And it might just be because we don't have the whole thing selected. Let's try this again. Okay, there we go. Okay, so you don't see the rumble. Okay, you don't see the rumble, and I have it on loop, so that's why it's playing. However, if I go to test or test movie in Animate, now all of the cars are rumbling, okay? And the left one is rumbling too, the one that we just did ourselves. So now we have rumbles to all of our cars. We only have one more thing to do and then we're done. So we want to bring in the title. So I'm going to go to cars. I'm going to add a new layer. I want to add a layer for that. And we'll call this title. And let's see, where do we want this title to come in? We want it to come in at frame 120. So I'm going to locate 120. There it is. I'm going to add a keyframe. So I can, that's usually an easy way to do it. But for some reason it doesn't want to do it that way. And maybe it's because I don't actually have a picture in there yet. If I actually had a picture in there, maybe it would do it for me. But in any case, I've added a keyframe, and now I just need that title, and it's called movie title. So let me just make sure I'm getting the right thing. There it is, and it's a symbol. So I'm going to drag it over and just place it somewhere as long as I'm on 120. Just to make this look as much like the one that we looked at as a sample, just to make it look as much like that as possible, I'm going to make sure we have this at the right size. So X would be 180. So if you go to Object, X, I'm just going to type it in, 180, and Y is 90, so I'm actually very close, 90. All right, so that's the size, or that's the placement or the positioning. As for the size, we're not really given a particular size here. It came in at 473. If you want to keep it at 473, you can. If you want to increase it to 500, you know, do what you want, but you know, that seems like a good size. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a motion tween for this. So we're going to move the playhead to, I'm going to move the playhead to 140. Okay. And yep, I'm on 140. And then I'm going to select the 3D rotation tool. So again, this tool is not going to be in your tool panel. You may have to go to the 3 dots and drag it over. Okay, so if you don't see this already, which you probably won't because mine wasn't, so I'm going to, if I hit reset, yeah, if I hit reset it goes away. So if I want it, I have to drag it over. So there is the rotation tool. Just looking to see what else we have there. Okay, so down here at the bottom, we are going to uncheck that, okay? Because we want to be able to have control over what we do here. So while we're on frame 140, I'm just going to click on frame 140. And now you see this sort of rotation tool here. And so at 140, we are going to take the left arm of this green Y here, and we're just gonna turn it a little bit. See, that was even too much. I'm just gonna do that one more time. This time I'm not gonna pull up as much because it's gonna go ahead and twist a little bit on its own. All right, so I'm gonna leave it there. Okay, now I'm going to take this back to 120. And I think, let me double check. I think I needed to. I'm going to hit Command Z and go back to this just being straight on, because I really need to turn this into a tween first, a motion tween. So I'm going to start with the motion tween. Okay, now I'm going to go and just pull that up a little bit. Yep, wrong way. I'm supposed to start at 140. Let me get to 140. All right, try that one more time. I'm going to drag this up. Now I'm going to go back to 120, and I'm going to pull this up. That's a lot. I might not pull up so much. Yeah, no, let's just see how it looks. So it comes in, and you can see it just sort of twists around there. All right, and so again, I'm gonna play this whole thing, and I might not do it that way. I'm gonna do the test. The test is gonna give me a better idea of whether I got it. So there's my cars rumbling, there's my words coming in, and there we go. It's a 6-second movie teaser, and it's doing everything it's supposed to do. All right, we're done. So all you have to do at this point is publish this. So you go to this icon, you choose publish. We're going to do a video for this. Anything over, anything like this, we're going to do a movie. GIFs, we are only going to do if it's something that's going to loop over and over again, and probably something only a few seconds long. So we're going to publish this as a video, and it should go all the way through. If you find that there's an issue, we might need to make sure you have Media Encoder installed on your iMac. So we might even do that before we get started, or just at any point. But it's saved. It exported successfully. We're done. And I hope watching this video made it a little bit easier than trying to follow the instructions. All right, thanks guys. You're awesome.